So this evening is the first of a series of webinars that the Curriculum Center for Family and Consumer Sciences Education and the Family and Consumer Sciences Education Program at Texas Tech have organized for you all. This first session will be on Google Classroom Basics. I'm Dr. Karen Alexander, and I will be serving as your facilitator for this evening's webinar. I am going to share our agenda. So the first thing that we're going to do with Google Classroom is give you just a brief overview and share with you how you will get started with Google Classroom. We're going to create a classroom. I have a webinar sample classroom that I have created, and in that, then I'm going to be sharing with you some ideas with the general layout and the tools that are available for you. We will also show you how to enroll a student. Also share with you how to, I'm going to actually close my email here so that we don't get those notifications. Whoops. Then we'll show you how to create an assignment, and with creating assignments, I want to show you a couple of different avenues that you can take. Some of you might be used to using Word documents, and you certainly can upload those in Google Classroom. Others of you may be using Google Docs, and that is a great tool as well. And there's actually some advantages with using your Google Docs as well as your Google Slides. Then I'll show you how you will be able to quickly grade an assignment, and then we'll have a few frequently asked questions that I have provided the answer to, and then we'll wrap up with talking about a few additional resources, our upcoming webinars, and then we'll open it up to any questions that we might have. Okay, so that is our agenda for the evening. So the first thing that you're going to want to make sure that you have is a Google account, and I actually have two Google accounts. I have one that is my personal Gmail account that Google, the account is connected to, and then I also have the Texas Tech University email where I have a connection on the Google account. And I have not merged those two because I use them independently, and some of you may also have that established. I bet a number of you probably are Google schools where you have a full suite of options and materials to use, while some of you may not have access to Google Classroom or the Google suite of resources, and that might be a request that you want to make to your administrators, especially in this time of delivering online instruction. I want to now open up the area where you will go to actually create a Google Classroom experience for you and your students. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is just open up a new page in Google Chrome, and you do need to be using Google Chrome as your browser. Okay, Google Chrome as your browser. There are options for Apple products to use Google as well as your PC, products. So do try to use the Google browser for the start. So over in the right-hand side of our page, you're going to see where my hand is clicking right over here to the upper right-hand side next to the K. Okay, and Dr. Miller, if you're not seeing what I'm seeing, please come off of mute and alert me, but otherwise I'll go ahead and proceed. Okay, so this actually indicates my Google Apps. And what I'm going to do is open that very quickly. I'm going to move this bar over to the left so that it's out of the way. And I'm going to look at the apps that I have available in Google, and you'll notice right here is Classroom. So if that's not showing up in your area in your Google browser, then you can scroll down to the bottom where there is more G Suite Marketplace options. And with the G Suite Marketplace options, you can actually add Google Classroom, or you can simply search for Google Classroom. And when you search for Google Classroom, it will take you to the Google Classroom site where it will allow you then to also operate the website and download that particular application. So I'm going to click on Google Classroom. And one of the things that you'll see is that I have a number of classrooms already created. And we have been using Google Classroom for a number of years at Texas Tech in our teacher preparation program. And that is how I have become accustomed to actually using Google Classroom. And I must tell you that there are a lot of options and features that I'm still learning, and I discover something new on a regular basis. I have my junior methods courses enrolled right now in a Google Classroom instead of using Blackboard. And the reason for that is because we know that our students likely are going to have the experience of using Google Classroom as a teacher. So we want to get them prepared. You'll notice that you also on my screen see cooperating teacher and student teacher. We have two separate Google Classrooms for our student teaching experience, where our student teachers are actually functioning and turning in their assignments through Google Classroom, and then our cooperating teachers who are supervising them also are submitting materials for review. So that's what you're seeing on my screen. And so we're going to be working here in just a moment in this webinar demonstration. But if I wanted to create a new classroom experience, it would be very easy to do. All I need to do is click on the plus sign that is at the upper right-hand side. And when I click on the upper, on that plus sign, I'm going to have join a class. And so that would be if a class were presented to me, and it would be, I would have been invited to it by the teacher. I could simply join it that way, or I can select create a class. And when I create a class, what I'm going to do is read this information from Google, and it does indicate that if you're going to be using this with students with their school accounts, then you do need to have G Suite for Education, which is free. And this is where I mentioned earlier, if you are not a G Suite for Education district, then you just probably want to send a request to your IT folks, your administrators, and ask for that to be created for you, because it's a very simple process. It is free, and it does then allow you to move in that direction. However, you can operate within Google Classroom with your Gmail account and student Gmail accounts. If your students are over the age of 13, they can acquire a Gmail account for free, but that would be something that you would want to make sure that you're checking with parents for permission, so that they are aware that there is a Gmail account in their child's name. If you're using the G Suite for Education, you do have heightened levels of privacy and security, and that allows your district to work within the emails that they have assigned for their students. So I just want to make sure you understand the difference there. Okay, so then once I've clicked, I've read and understood the above notice. I'm going to continue. And what then I will have is this simple section where I can create a class name. So I'm going to say FCSE. Let's just say one of our graduate courses that I might teach in the fall, and that would be 5118. And that's all I need in order to create my classroom. And so once I do that, it will show creating, and there it is. Okay. But because I have one that is already for us to go with the template for tonight, I'm going to click on this area over on the left. And what it's going to do is show me then my courses that I have available. And the one that we're going to work with tonight is webinar demonstration course. Okay, so you can see I've already added some content. And when you create your Google Classroom, you're going to have this home page experience. So this is your landing page. So when your students join in your class and open your class each day, the first thing that they will see is this information at the top. So in this case, webinar demonstration course. There is a course code here. So if students need to join by a course code, you can provide that to them. You could provide that in a separate email. But once you invite a student, they will get an email. And I'll show you that here in just a moment. But this area is called the stream. And so the stream is where it's essentially, I like to think about it as a stream of information for your students. And so if you have upcoming assignments, that would show here. And we'll make an assignment here momentarily. And once we do that, you'll be able to come back to the stream and show, see where that is viewable. If you have an announcement and want to share something with your students, you can certainly do that. And then this is a recent post that I made. This is actually an updated post. If you notice, I made this original post back in November of 2018, but I edited it this evening very easily by coming over here on the right and clicking on edit. And what I did in that situation was updated a link to a video and made it a newer video. So let's come back up here real quickly, and I want to show you a few other things about your banner for your course. So you have the ability to actually select a theme. And so this is where you can essentially customize your Google Classroom experience. And so if you click on theme, you'll see some pre-generated themes that are produced in Google Classroom. And I know that for Family and Consumer Sciences, there is one related to economics. So here is one if you were teaching money matters, dollars and cents, financial literacy, whatever you might call it. This is relatively stereotypical, but if you were doing anything with clothing construction, you certainly could use that. We do, it looks like knitting needles, but there are some pins there. I have found also under arts that there are things with dining. Here is one where for culinary, so you have some options here. But if you don't like any of those, okay, you can come here to the general and select some items, or you can select a photo that you might like to use that is more of a representation of you or your district or your classes. And so if you chose to do that, then one of the things that you would do is click on upload photo. And then if you upload photo, you will be able to select from your computer a photo, or if you have one that you would like to use maybe from a web page, you can just drag that there and it will then size it. So let's use one from Curriculum Center. So let's click on the Curriculum Center. We're going to open it up. It will load that photo. Then I have the option to move the bar around to size or capture a part of the photo that I would like. And this area would be a good background for us to use for this evening. So anything that is inside this box is what is going to show in the banner. So I'm going to select that course theme. And once I have done that, you'll notice now that that logo is right behind the title of the course. Okay, so that is very easy to do. Oh, now, what I'm going to do next is actually show you how to enroll students. And so under the people selection, you'll notice that I have two sections. I have teachers, this is me, and I also have students. And so, of course, you can add additional teachers. So this is one of the things that I really like about Google Classroom is that you can have multiple teachers. I checked on it today, and I believe that it's indicated that you can have upwards of 20 teachers in one particular Google Classroom. That's a lot. I don't know when that would ever be productive, but in our case at Texas Tech, with our cooperating teachers and student teaching sections that I showed you earlier, we have multiple teachers. So Mrs. Huey, Jency Huey, and Christy Storms, both of those are my co-teachers in that class, so all three of us are listed. So let's say that I want to add a teacher. All I would need to do is type in their email. And I'm going to use Christy Storms's TTU email for this. She did join as a student under her Gmail account, but I'm going to list her here as a TTU. She, again, is one of these individuals that has two different accounts and is able to work within Google Classroom in that way, and her Google Suite in that way. Christy would actually, once she accepts the invitation, be able to come in and co-teach this class with me. So this might be something for those of you who, are trying to, work smarter, not harder with your colleagues and delivering online learning. Maybe you all want to do it collaboratively and be a little bit more productive. So that is an option that you have. Then you also have an option here to enroll your students. Remember that your students can join with a join code. So if you were to provide that join code, remember that is back here on the stream. Okay, right here is your join code. If you were to display, and you can actually click on that and make it larger. So if you're in a classroom experience or doing a Zoom session with your students, they could join with that join code. Or you could come back over here and add students with their email accounts. Now, I can add my students at Texas Tech with their TTU accounts, their ttu.edu accounts. I have not had any issue with that. So that's just something that you're going to need to investigate on the local level. And first thing that you need to determine is, are you a Google Suite classroom? And if you are, then you're going to have a lot more flexibility. I'm going to actually, all three of these are individuals who've accepted the email that was sent when I requested that they join. So I'm going to send a request to another student, and he better have remembered, because he's sitting in the other room watching TV right now, and that is my husband. And so I'm going to send an email to my student, Ron Baker. And so when you are using a Gmail account, it will pop up as you're completing it as being in the system. But if you also are using other email addresses, so for instance, a TTU, and it's in the system, it will show that as well, just like it did with Christy when I added her on the teacher side. So I'm going to select him, and we're going to invite. And he should be receiving an email invitation now in his Google, in his Gmail. And so that will go directly to his Gmail. And once he accepts, then he will show as active in the account. Now, one of the other things that I wanted to share with you, if you click on the right, is you have the ability to email a student directly, okay, from Gmail, or I'm sorry, from your Google Classroom. And you have also actions that you can take. So if you want to click on a particular student's name and then look at actions, you have the ability to email that student individually. You can actually remove a student from the class. So let's say someone has gotten in and it's not appropriate for them to be in the class, then you can remove them. You also have the ability to mute a student. And so what does that mean? Well, let's say you start a discussion with your students, and your discussion time you feel like is being dominated by a student, or maybe they have made some inappropriate comments, not collegial in nature, then you can mute that student for a period of time. And then once you've had a conversation with them via email or even by web conferencing in this situation, today's environment of delivering instruction, then what you can do is always unmute them and allow them to come back into that situation. So if I wanted to actually select all of my students, then all I would need to do is click on every one of them. Okay, so here at the top, I can easily do that by clicking here, and it selects them all. And in that situation, I can send a group email to everyone. And so that's a great way to be communicating with your students. And it looks like Ron has accepted the invitation, and so now he is a member of this particular class and will be getting updates. So that's how easy it is to enroll your students. So now let's take a look at classwork. So classwork is where you are going to build your class. Now, I actually showed you how to enroll your students because I wanted to have that conversation first to make sure that my students were enrolled. But you have the ability to actually build your classwork first, and that is what I would encourage you to do, and then enroll your students, okay? I did it opposite tonight just to kind of show you a couple of tips and techniques in terms of getting them quickly enrolled. But if it were me, I would actually organize my classroom content first, spend a couple of days getting some of those materials in before you invite students, because once you put classwork material in and make it visible, then all of your students are going to have access to it, unless you schedule it for a release at a later date, and I'm going to show you how to do that. Okay, so let's go to classwork now, and I'll show you what is appearing. So I have something that's posted here already, and this is a post from me, and it's called a digital story. And so if I open that digital story, there's no lesson posted yet, okay? But if I were to give them an assignment, all I would need to do is click on actually, let's go back up here to the top, and let's create a new assignment. I think that would be easier. Let me actually delete this. I'll show you how to delete something that you don't want there anymore. So all you need to do is just click on the three dots, and that's where you have the opportunity to rename, delete, or copy a link. And I'm just going to delete this, and it says posts with this topic will not be deleted. So I'm going to delete, and that is now gone, okay? So to create a new assignment, all I need to do is come here and click on the plus sign where it says create, and you have some options. And so this is one of the things that I really like about Google Classroom, is that you have some different ways of creating information for your students. You can actually have an assignment that is graded. You can have a quiz over content that you've recently reviewed. Let's say you're going to post a Google presentation or a PowerPoint presentation, and you want them to take a quiz after that. You would use this tool to actually create that quiz. You can also post a question. I like this for essentially the bell ringer concept. And so what I will do is open that up and prepare a question for my students, and then it will be accessible when they come to class or they have a period of time to review it. Then you also have the ability to post just material. So if you're wanting to provide resources, handouts, whatever that might be, then you would be able to get that information to your students. You also have an ability to reuse a post. And so this is also a really cool option with Google Classroom. You will always have your class, and you can reuse things from semester to semester or year to year, or even if you post something in the beginning and you want to reuse that post from time to time and slightly edit it, you can do that as well. And then your topic area is the way that you will organize your content by a broader topic or theme. So let's say I'm going to create a new assignment. And this assignment, okay, I have no idea what that, what happened here with the squiggly tool. What we'll do is we're going to do assignment 101, okay? And here is where you would put the instructions for your assignment. And your instructions, please take time to review the attached documents. Once you've reviewed, complete the question for discussion, okay? And let's say I want to add a presentation. So you have a couple of options here. The first thing is you can add from your Google Drive, okay? And when you add something from your Google Drive, most of you probably know that in Google, your documents can be jointly edited. And so if something is in your Google Drive and you have shared that with someone else, you have the ability to work as a team, then you can do collaborative assignments. And I'm going to show you in here in a couple minutes how to make that happen. So I'm going to attach the presentation that I shared with you earlier, okay? And that is a Google slide presentation. And then I'm going to click add here at the bottom. And once I have added it, I have an option over to the right to allow my students to edit it if they choose. I also have the ability to make a copy for each student. And so this is very beneficial for a class that you know, each one is going to be doing an individual assignment. And so what this will do is put the document in their Google Drive automatically. And so then they're working on their own individual copy versus a shared copy or document. And that's one of the benefits of using a Google document, such as a Google Doc or as Google Slides, and also the ability to edit. So I'm gonna click on make a copy for each student, okay? And then that will put that in all 4 of my students that are currently enrolled in their Google Drive, okay? I'm also going to click on can edit the file, okay? Now, let's say that I want to add another document, and I'm gonna do this time, not Google Slides, but I'm gonna do a different document, which is essentially a Word, a Google Doc that is a word processing document. And so I'm going to click that. I will add, same kind of thing. In this case, I want them to be able to edit the file. All right. But let's say that I have a PowerPoint from months ago, years ago, that is a good PowerPoint that I don't want to lose. So I can actually select file, and in this situation it will then allow me to select from my device. And so I'm going to come over here and I'm going to select a file from my 4302 class, which is a class that I teach at Texas Tech. And this is a PowerPoint on the direct instruction model. In other words, doing demonstrations. And so I'm going to now upload that. Okay. And so here again, in this situation, yes, I actually want to make a copy of that for each student. And so that's going to put that there in their Google Drive as well. Okay. So then the next thing that I want to do is show you, you can also add a link. So in this situation, let's say I want to get a link from, we'll do the Curriculum Center from Texas Tech. So we're going to put www.ccfcs.org. Okay, so if you know the link that you want, then all you need to do is click on the link and highlight it, copy. When you come back over into your demo, you will paste it in and you add that link. And so in this situation, then the students are going to have direct access to this website. And then the last thing that is here is you have the ability to add a YouTube file. And so if you click on this, you can actually search various YouTube videos, or you can paste in a URL of a video. Let's say you have your class account for YouTube and it's private. It's not something you want everyone to have access to, but you have found or made some videos for your students and you want to control access to that. You can put the link in here to that YouTube video very easily. Okay, so now over here, so these are all the things that I want my students to have access to. So I'm going to go ahead and move this back. I'm going to actually put this at the bottom of the screen now, because this is where you're going to complete the assignment. And so in this situation, this is where I want it to be in the webinar demonstration class. But look at what I have available here. So if I've got multiple sections of one course, so let's say I'm teaching lifetime nutrition and wellness and I have 3 different sections and I want all 3 of those sections to get the same assignment at the same time, but I'm keeping them separate because that's how they were interacting before we went on our suspended teaching assignment, I can click on all of the appropriate classes and make that assignment available. And so since I created FCSE 5118 at the beginning of the class, I'm going to show you how that will be in both of those here in just a second. Okay, so now in this situation, what I'm going to do is make that available. When I do that, what that does is actually make it available for everyone in the class. Let's go ahead and unclick this because I want to show you something else. If I were not doing that, and I wanted to make this a group assignment, then this is where I can differentiate instruction or have students be working collaboratively. So I would click, right now it's going to go to all students. But let's say that I just want, I want Dr. Miller and my husband to be working as a team. So I'm going to click just the two of those individuals, their names, and that's going to now post in their account. So here is where you can also make this worth points. So if you need to change the amount of points, all you need to do is adjust. So let's say I want to make it 15 versus 100. Or you also have an option to make the assignment ungraded. And this is for my students, when I assign them textbook readings, this is where I put the assignment of what they're supposed to be reading, but I make it ungraded so that they still get the assignment. It's coming up in their calendar, but yet they will not necessarily get a grade of points for doing it. However, they have the ability to show me when they have completed it, which is really interesting and a way to track their progress. So in this situation, I'm going to make this worth points, okay? And so I'm going to do 15 points, okay? And I'm going to do a due date. You can actually just not have any due date, or you can make it a particular due date with your calendar. And we're going to make this due today. And I'm going to actually make it due in 4 minutes, because one of the things that I want to show you on the assignment side is what messages you will be receiving. So we're going to say due at 7:45 p.m. Okay, so I have done that. If you have a rubric that you want to create for this assignment, you have the ability to add a rubric, create a rubric here. But we're not going to do that tonight because that's not a part of basic. That would be something that we could do later. So I'm going to assign this, but before I do that, I want to show you have a couple of other things. You can schedule an assignment out in advance, and you can also save a draft. So let's say you start working on the assignment this morning or tomorrow morning, and you just don't have the time to finish it before you get on a Zoom call with your administrator. You can save the draft, and then you can go back and finish your work later. You can also schedule it for a time, and I use this frequently with my students because I don't want to overwhelm them with a lot of content. So I'll schedule an assignment, and when I see them in class, it comes up during class time because of the time that I have scheduled it, and then I address that in class. Okay, and if you're ready to assign it, then you can actually assign it at this time. Cindy, did you have something?
Yes, you set the date for tomorrow instead of today.
Oh, thank you. Okay. Okay, so this is good because thank you very much for pointing that out, because now I can show you how to edit it. So let's say you make a mistake like I just did. Here is where you can edit the assignment. So I'm going to do the 25th, and I'm going to save it. And so now I quickly fixed that error, okay? Also in Google Classroom, when you make assignments, you make posts, then you will your students will receive a notification of that in their particular account, their email account. Okay, you also, I want to mention here at the top, have the ability to use Google Calendar, and you have the ability to have a Google Class Drive. And so look at what I have already in the Google Class Drive. So this is where I have the assignment 101, but then that PowerPoint that I made available is also there in that drive, okay? And so that opens in a separate tab. So all you have to do is just come back over in the correct tab. You can actually X out of that, and you're right back where you were. Okay, so now what you're going to see real quickly is the grading section. And so in this situation, I have the first assignment. It is out of 15 points, and this shows me that I did not assign this to 2 of my students. And so that might be then where I'm going to give them a separate assignment, and they'll be assigned something in their group that is a little bit different, okay? And so it will show you where it is assigned, not assigned. Okay, now in just a couple of minutes, and we'll refresh. So that was due at 7:45. While we're waiting on that, let's see if it, yep, there we go. It shows that they are missing that assignment because the time has passed and they are missing it. They have not submitted it. But what will show here is if they go back and do it, let's say Dr. Miller gets off the call, she finishes the assignment and submits it after the call, it will show late assignment. Okay, so then you have the option to determine your late assignment policy. So if you're going to take off points, that sort of thing. In this case, let's just say that Mr. Baker did his assignment in advance. It would show the points. So right here, it would actually show this, but not in red. It would show that it is ready for me to grade. So if I want to grade this, then all I have to do is view submission, okay? And so in this situation, I'm going to see that there really wasn't anything great here that he submitted, but on the right side, I have the ability to assign my points. So I'm going to give him 0, okay? Because he hasn't done it yet. And then I have the ability to add a private comment. And I'm going to say, please submit ASAP. Okay. All right. Now, I can post this, and that's posting. He's gotten a comment from me. It will go to his email. But you'll notice that this is not returned. So as of right now, he doesn't know his grade. So what I can do is then wait and grade later, or I can return it as a 0, okay? You also have the ability here to change the total points. So you've got some flexibility with your students with missing and late assignments. If he doesn't turn it in at all, then what I'm going to do is actually return that assignment, okay? And so he'll have a grade. We'll go back here to, this is opening in another tab. We're gonna go back here to our class, and then on your roster, you'll see that he has gotten a 0 out of 15, okay? You have the ability to actually export your grades. And you can do that in a Google Sheet. So that helps with facilitate with your grading. So let's come back to the stream real quickly. And with the stream real quickly, you'll see here that I have posted an assignment, okay? But before I move away from this, I did forget to show you one other thing. I'm gonna come back here real quickly under the instructions, and I want to edit it, because what I can actually do is create here under topics a topic that would allow me to organize it. So I'm just going to call this demonstration lesson. Okay, whoops, if I can. And red highlights, which is good. Let's get this right. There we go. We can fix it. We want to make sure our students know that we can spell correctly, right? Okay, so I'm just going to say demonstration lesson, and then I'm going to save this. And what will actually happen then is that this has now under my course, if I come here to classwork, it will have a major topic here. And so this is where you might have 4 or 5 different assignments, a quiz, and so forth showing. And it's a great way to keep you and your students organized. But if you go back to the stream, one of the things that you're going to see here, because we set the due date while the class was going on, it doesn't have anything upcoming, but if I were to click view all, then that would show where that demonstration, webinar demonstration assignment 101 was listed, and then I'm able to see 1 assigned, I have 1 graded, and 0 have been turned in. And so you have the ability to review what hasn't been submitted, and then here, if you click on reviewed, this is where you can go back to where you have returned work to students. And so that's your to-do list for items, essentially what you need to be grading. And it the good thing about Google Classroom is it does help you to stay on track with your grading and other materials. Okay, so that's Google Classroom 101. It's very easy. You should have now the basic tools to help you get started. I do want to share a couple of other things on our PowerPoint that we had. And the first thing, I've already covered this about frequently asked questions about my school doesn't have a G Suite. I've already covered that in talking about the, sorry, this is what happens when you're working at home. That's what happens. I've answered that question. And then the other question is, can parents sign into Google Classroom? So parents cannot sign in and be members of your Google Classroom, but you do have a way to enroll them, especially if you're using G Suite. And in G Suite, then you can invite guardians, and in that situation, you can actually enter more than one. So you have mom and dad, or mom, stepmom, and dad. All of those can be entered, and the students can share information with their parents about their assignments. We do have in the PowerPoint some additional resources for online learning, and this presentation will be available after so that you can access this. I recommend Google Classroom Help. We also have some resources available on the Curriculum Center for Family and Consumer Sciences website. We provide curriculum for teachers in all areas of family and consumer sciences, and we have some special prices right now for those of you who are needing access to course materials. Everything is in a learning management system where you can adapt it for your own system or easily upload it into Google Classroom. And then we have 2 additional resources that are cataloging other resources for online learning. That's the Digital Promise, as well as Ditch That Textbook. And then we do have some other upcoming webinars then we will be presenting. So next Tuesday, Christy Storms will be doing one on Pear Deck for Google Slides, and that will pair very well with Google Classroom. It's an excellent interactive tool. Dr. Miller will be doing one on collaboration tools and resources in general learning management systems, and that will, Blackboard will be the basis, but that would be applicable to others such as Canvas. Then Mara Driscoll will be doing one on making quality videos from home with resources that you have available. And then Jincy Hui will be doing one on the 8th with live binders for active learning. I'm going to go ahead and make this slide available because we do have 2 questions for you if you would answer. And these are about what webinar topics do you need for future reference, and the tiny URL will take you there, but so will the QR code on the right. So those of you who have your phones or smart devices, you want to snap that QR code, you'll go directly to our 2-question open-ended survey and just put in whatever topics you think would be valuable or of interest. Okay, so we're going to go ahead right now and come over to our questions. And Dr. Miller, would you please start giving me some of the questions?
Yes, I answered one of them on how to export grades into Google Sheet, but Teresa asked, can you show how to access the Classroom Drive, and can you just post info in it?
So on the Classroom Drive, the Classroom Drive is, whoops, come back here. So if you're under classwork, this is where your Classroom Drive folder will be. And so just like your Drive, your Google Drive, you have the ability to create something new. So you would just click on that arrow. Here's where you can do a file upload. So if you want to upload a lot of files at one time, that's a great way to do that. Let's say you've got a lot of PowerPoints that you've used, other assignments, they're in Word. Go ahead and use that as your upload. You can also upload a folder. So like if you got a whole content folder you want to upload for your students. And then of course here you have the ability to do your docs, your sheets, and your slides, as well as more, such as forms. And once you have done that, then let's do one real quickly. Let's come back over here and let's do the lesson plan. This is a PowerPoint about the general lesson plan. Once that has uploaded, it's there. And then if I need to link back to that, what I'm going to do, and so just so you know, all of the students in your class will have access to this drive. That's the Classroom Drive. So if I come back over here and now I want to create a new lesson or assignment, let's say a question on lesson plans. What I would do is just come here and I'm going to go to Google Drive. And this is, it'll show recent because that's where I've just been, or you can do it from shared drives. So here's where I would add that. And then I would just add a topic and then I would create it. So you have to have something here in this area before it will post. And so now I'm just going to ask that. And as soon as I do that, you'll see that it's listed here. When the students open it up, they'll have access to that lesson plan in the PowerPoint that is available here in the Class Drive folder. Okay?
And Deborah said, what is the link to the presentation? But I think you kind of went over that in your slide. Is that going to be on the CCFCS website?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we will be providing a link. In fact, because you've registered for the webinar, we'll send everything out to you tomorrow. And then we will be posting on the Curriculum Center's website the recording as well as the PowerPoint or the, I should say, slide presentation, because it is a Google slide presentation. But I will say that also as a PowerPoint for those of you who are you know, used to functioning in PowerPoint.
Okay, and someone said she missed the info on how to share student projects for peer review.
Oh, well, okay, so on the peer review, so let's go back to the demonstration assignment lesson, okay? So if I were to edit this, okay, students can edit the file, okay? Because it is already assigned to these two students, then they will have the ability to edit it between them. And so in this case, they'll be able to review each other's work, provide comments, provide feedback, etc. Okay, so this is where if you're having groups, you just want that group to get access to an assignment and work together as a team, then you would assign it to just those individuals, okay? Or if you let's say we've got a group of 3, then we would click here and then we would make it available to just those 3. Or if they're sharing and doing peer editing as pairs, then they would be able to do that there. Okay?
And while you're on this screen, one asked, how do you edit the total points?
Oh, that's very easy. Okay, so we'll go back here. We're going to edit this again. So you just click on the points. And so here, let's say I made a mistake and I really wanted to make that 100. Then what I would do is save. And it will ask you, do you want to update it just to be sure? Yes, I want to update that. And then in that situation, I may need to go back and adjust a student's grade. So if you remember, I returned Mr. Baker or let's here, I gave him a 0 out of 100. If I wanted to adjust that grade and do 15, and then I just hit return and it's entered, it's saving, okay?
Okay, and then Vanessa asked, do we get CEUs for this training or a certificate?
We will have a certificate available for you, and that would be something then that you would just need to submit with your local school district.
Okay, and then will students be able to edit documents in the Classroom Drive? I'm assuming that's kind of what you discussed a while ago.
Yes, yes. So when you have materials in the Classroom Drive, that's where they can actually they can make a copy of it and put it in their own drive, or they can work on things there. One of the benefits of Google Classroom, because things are saving, especially if you make it on the assignment copy to their drive, there's no excuse for I didn't get the assignment. Or my dog lost it, or it was in my backpack and I don't know where it is. So like if you're always clicking when you make the assignment back in that area, the area that I showed you about availability and copying it into their drive, they will always have a copy of that. And then, of course, it's available through the Classroom Drive as well. Okay?
Okay. Can teachers share assignments so each doesn't have to create every single lesson?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I think that depends on the number of teachers you put in that course, right?
Yeah, it would. The number, and that may be one of the benefits of actually doing multiple teachers. So if the teacher's actually in the classroom with you, then that would be a very easy share. But I don't know. I'll have to check on that one. That's one. Let's do some further checking, and we'll get back to you.
Dr. Alexander, do you want me to comment on what we did at LISD? Yeah, sure. So I used to teach for LISD. This is Christy Storms and Lubbock ISD. And what we would do is we would create things, and that's why we had multiple teachers on a class. And so we would never ever, or somebody would create it and then add us as students into a class. And so anytime that you have that setting set so that students can edit or teachers can edit, you can certainly do it that way. But also another, you can actually just share the class and you can actually copy it. That's probably more of an advanced option, but there are ways to definitely just add on your colleagues as teachers. That's what I have found to be the easiest. So within our student teaching ones, that is what we have done. So Dr. Alexander and I share actually one class, and Mrs. Huey found it easier for her to do her own thing because she has more student teachers. And so she actually just copied the course once I made her a teacher and made her own. So she didn't have to reset the assignments. She didn't have to redo anything. She just copied it.
And
So.
Christy, thank you for bringing that up, because one of the other benefits of copying a class is that you can, at the beginning, let's say you're really loving Google Classroom and you want to use it now next year to support all of your classes. All you have to do is copy that class for the next year. And so with my undergraduates, that's what I do, is I make a copy of that class, and then I have all of the materials and the resources ready to go. Okay, other questions?
Last question, will the certificate be emailed to us?
Yes.
And that's, oh, it says one more. If you post a workbook assignment and it is a PDF, how can students write on the worksheet and turn it in?
Oh, that's a really good question. So I would recommend that you make it a fillable PDF. And so if you have Adobe Acrobat, you can do that very easily. That's probably the best way for them to be able to fill something in. But in a pinch, when I haven't had time, what I have actually done is uploaded a PDF and allowed my students to print it and fill it in with pencil or ink, and then take a snapshot of it, and then they can upload the snapshot. So that's another way that I've done that. That's a great way that students can document work. And if you don't have time to make fillable PDFs, then that may be a good option for you. Sometimes you lose a lot of the formatting. I was going to say sometimes you might want to convert it over to like a Word document where they could do some word processing on it. But you have some ways to play around with that.
Hi, this is Lanita out here in Durham, North Carolina.
Yes.
I offer a suggestion I'm not sure who asked that question, but one of the things that we do here in Durham Public Schools, excuse me, is there's an extension, there's a Google extension called Kami, K-A-M-I. Mm-hmm. And we use that a lot with PDF files. Okay. It makes them editable. Students can then edit them, then they'll save them to their Google Drive, and then they'll reattach them and turn it in.
Excellent. Thank you for that. And see, that's something that I didn't know. So I've learned something from you. So thank you very much. Okay. Cindy, any others? It looks like we've covered them.
Yep, we've covered them. So we're good.
Okay. Well, thank you all. This has been a fabulous turnout. We really appreciate your involvement tonight. Look forward to hopefully having you on next week with our webinars. I'm going to stop sharing this right now so that you can actually come back and see my face here. We really appreciate you and all that you're doing for students. We know that this is a trying time. Do let us know if there's anything else that we can help you with. And hopefully we'll see you on Tuesday of next week. Have a good evening, everyone.